Good day, and welcome to another edition of What's in the Sky? My name is Dan, and on behalf of the Sheep Hill Astronomical Association, I'd like to thank you for joining me. The topic for this edition will be constellations. We're going to learn what constellations are by highlighting one or two that are visible to everyone in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm going to focus on Ursa Major and Ursa Minor and their respective popular patterns. By definition, a constellation is an area of the celestial sphere as defined by the International Astronomical Union in the early 20th century. There are 88 recognized constellations in the night sky. It should be noted that 48 of them are based on the Greek constellations documented by Ptolemy in the 2nd century. What most of us think of as constellations are sometimes just parts of the actual constellation. Asterisms are patterns formed by relatively bright stars that appear close to each other in the night sky. In my opinion, the most famous of these asterisms is the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is not a constellation in and of itself. It's part of Ursa Major, or the Great Bear. Ursa Major is the third largest constellation in the sky in terms of total area. It is the largest constellation in the Northern Hemisphere, though. According to Greek mythology, Callisto was the daughter of King Lycaon. She was part of the entourage of the goddess Artemis. As was the custom of the followers of Artemis, Callisto agreed to take a vow of chastity, which she did and soon became one of the goddess's favorites. Being so close to Artemis, this brought Callisto in close proximity with other gods, and soon Zeus began to notice her. Despite being married to Hera, Zeus was taken with Callisto's beauty, and in short order made her pregnant with his child. Once Artemis found out about this, Callisto was expelled from the entourage. Alone in the forest, Callisto gave birth to a boy named Arcas. Callisto was then transformed into a bear. This transformation may have been done by Artemis as punishment, or it may have been done by Zeus to hide his infidelity, or it may have been done by Hera to punish Callisto and Zeus. Years passed and Arcas grew up to be a great hunter. Eventually Arcas and Callisto crossed paths in the forest. As Arcas was about to kill his mother-turned-she-bear, Zeus took pity on Callisto and transformed her into the constellation Ursa Major, and also transformed Arcas into the constellation Ursa Minor. Hera saw this transformation as a constant reminder of Zeus's infidelity and convinced Tethys, the goddess of the sea, to prevent the stars from ever dipping below the horizon, thus preventing both constellations from ever drinking water again. This is why both Ursa Major and Minor are always visible in the night sky in the Northern Hemisphere. And that's probably way more than you really wanted to know about Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. You were probably thinking more about the Big and the Little Dipper and the North Star more than Greek mythology. So let's get to it. The two end stars in the bucket of the Big Dipper will almost directly point to Polaris, the North Star. Now, most people think that the North Star is big and bright and easily spotted in the night sky. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but the North Star is a very average star, certainly not the brightest star in the sky, and without the pointer stars of the Big Dipper, most people would be hard-pressed to find it. Even Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper, can sometimes get washed out in the light of a full moon. It should be noted that the stars in a constellation are not all the same distance from Earth. They just appear that way due to our line of sight with the heavens. Thousands of years ago, the Big Dipper looked completely different than it does now, and thousands of years from now, the Big Dipper will have changed considerably. All the stars are moving in different directions and at different speeds, but it goes unnoticed in our relatively short time observing them. The Big Dipper is a region of the sky that has a number of deep sky objects, all of which you would need a decent-sized telescope to see. However, they are relatively easy to find since they are nearby one of the most recognizable shapes in the sky. Not only is the Big Dipper useful in finding the North Star, but it can help you find other constellations as well. If you extend a line from the two inner bowl stars or the two outer bowl stars, you will land in the center of Leo. If you follow the arc of the handle of the Dipper, you arc to Arcturus in the constellation Bootes. In fact, you can learn how to use the Big Dipper to find any number of bright stars and constellations. So that covers our two constellations. What else is going on in the sky? Well, we have the final supermoon of 2020 on May 7th. The moon will be approximately 362,000 kilometers from Earth. And there's another comet approaching us. Comet Swan is approaching the Sun, and right now it's only a southern hemisphere event, but come mid-May there is a possibility of seeing it either just before sunrise if you look east-northeast, or just after sunset if you look west-northwest. It will be low in the sky, so you'll need a decent view of the horizon without a lot of trees in your way. More info to come on that one. Comet Atlas was supposed to be the next big thing, but it broke up as it got closer to the Sun and never got as bright as astronomers had hoped it would. So that's it for another edition of What's in the Sky. On behalf of the Sheep Hill Astronomical Association, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Please visit the Sheep Hill website, and maybe you'd be inclined to donate a few dollars to help us repair the dome on our observatory. We certainly would appreciate that. Thanks again, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep looking up.